Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, yai da 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 bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Good Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom, Cantor, and Shabbat Shalom to everyone who's joined us on this Friday evening. A Shabbos that we really feel we have earned, and we are ready to have some time and to reflect and to breathe and to sing and to pray and to come together as a community. So as we always do, look, let us know you're here in the chat, whether on Facebook or on YouTube, on either of our platforms, so that we can greet one another, say hello to each other, welcome each other with Shabbat, and make this time meaningful. As always, if you want to follow the prayer book, our prayer book is downloadable through our YouTube site as well as through our website, and you can follow along in there. We'll be posting on the screen some of the prayers as well. Tonight's about just being community, about thinking a little, feeling a little, feeling a lot, but coming together and supporting one another, because it has been a tremendous week, a week filled with anxiety and angst and stress and difficulties just in being a part of a part of this country that we love, no matter where we stand on these issues, but all of us feeling this intensity around it. And Shabbat can be a time for us as a community, as a congregation, truly to come together and to recognize those blessings that are there. So let's begin now that it's dark already as we begin our services and night has fallen upon us. That's not a metaphor. So we begin with our Shabbos candles rather than concluding with them. So I'll invite Audrey, who is behind the scenes with us tonight and helping technologically promote our services, to light the candles for Shabbat as we sing the blessings together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת. אמן.
So with the candles illuminated, so can we begin our time together, our prayers. And many thoughts are racing through my head, things I wanted to share with all of you. I was very fortunate this past week because I was able to work the polls, and I'm thrilled to share how many of our congregants have told me that they spent time volunteering and working the polls as well, whether it was Allison Parr, one of our vice presidents, or Leslie Moskowitz, my wife, or Jillian Rifkin, who was a poll challenger as well. I know for 18 hours, some of us were there, and I'll tell you, I was fortunate to be asked to be a poll challenger in Detroit. And I was at the Crowell Community Center, the rec center there, where actually in this facility, they had 6 precincts that were available for people to come in Detroit and to vote. So somewhere in the Brightmoor neighborhoods. And some were concerned that I'd be going down there, and I didn't feel that concern when I was there. I have to tell you, it was really remarkable and an incredible uplifting feeling for a number of reasons to be a poll challenger. A poll challenger is someone who just has the opportunity to oversee things, to watch. You can't talk to voters, but to make sure everything is sort of kosher or to make sure things are going the way they're supposed to. So they hold up a spoiled ballot when someone maybe has marked it incorrectly with too many filled in circles. They weren't careful enough. And so they get a new ballot. We record the numbers. We notice that. Or if someone is challenging a voter thinking they may not be able to vote, we bring that to light and then resolve that, help resolve that, and are there to sort of give feedback. So it was an interesting endeavor, something I've never done before. And so it was uplifting to see in that sense how democracy works and how smoothly it was working in all 6 of these precincts. That the hiccups were because the machine glitched for a moment, got stuck, and then we had to reboot it, and then it worked, things like that. But natural stuff. But there was no one trying to get in the way of people voting. There was no one trying to prohibit or intimidate. And that really gave me a sense of appreciation for this process that we can respect. But more than that, what I really felt good about was how many young people were working the polls. There were young grad students from University of Michigan, college students from Wayne State. There were young professional individuals who were 23, 24, new in the workforce, who were helping out, white and black, people of all different ethnicities who wanted to be a part of this process. And for me, that gave me a sense of hope that so many young people in this precinct in this area in Detroit wanted to be a part of this. And the vast majority of us didn't live in Detroit. Some were around the corner from there, but most of the young people weren't. We were placed there in our roles. The night before, I was asked to go to another training session for ballot people who would be watching the absentee voters, and the ballots came in from them. And so I went to another training session just to see and learn, and they had the 6 captains on the screen. And one of the captains was a young woman who used to teach here at Temple Shir Shalom, who is now a law school student at Michigan. And I was so proud to see this young Jewish woman who is giving her time, being a captain and training others and helping out in that way. And it just so happens that our executive director, Brian Fishman, was also a poll challenger on Tuesday. Wednesday morning, we got an email saying that challengers are needed at TCF. Come down to TCF right away. If you're a challenger, you can help out as the counting is occurring. And so Brian and I decided to go, realized this would be an important thing. We were encouraged to go. And then Brian called me back and said only lawyers and those who are in law school were to be there because they wanted to make sure it was being watched carefully and there'd be no objections to that. We were actually nonpartisan poll challengers put in our places by Power the Polls, an organization that's supported by National Council of Jewish Women, NAACP, ACLU, organizations that we care about and really promote the idea of the efficacy of voting and the integrity of this process. So it felt really good to be a part of that as well. And I just want to share that I feel blessed that I was able to engage in this way and see it firsthand. I've always voted in person, but this time I was able to watch it from the other side and see how it works and how many people care about it. The literally hundreds of thousands of people in our country who care about this and wanted to make sure it was done right. And I think that should make us feel good. So it's been stressful in a sense this week as we've watched things happen and wanting things to occur and hoping for things to occur. But most importantly is that idea that in this democracy, we're all Americans. And I will say, like, Vice President um, Joe Biden has said, that it's not about red and blue states, it's about being the United States of America and how important that is. So as we begin our service tonight, I wanted to share this prayer that a colleague of ours penned this week. And I think it really is telling for what we can be feeling as texts are taken from our scripture and reminding us of what matters most. God, creator of light and goodness, may we find grace in the wilderness. Help this great nation emerge from chaos and fear to healing and tranquility. We ask our leaders to act with insight and honor, to carry authority with humility and compassion. Righteousness exalts a nation. And as for me, Holy One of blessing, may this be my prayer, Still, my troubled being, for I yearn to emerge from darkness and confusion. Lift me, carry me, set me upon a rock that I may feel safe within the storm. I've sat in the valley of tears long enough. Strengthen my resolve that I may be a force for good, a light when there is darkness. Help me be guided by acts of love and kindness, compassion and understanding. May I find the way to transcend my inclination for strife and be a bearer of hope and righteousness. Though I have fallen, I rise again. Though I sit in darkness, God is my light. Guide me, comfort me, grant me strength. May this be my prayer. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
I appreciate my colleague, Rabbi Karen Kadar, who penned this on Wednesday after the election and reminded us, and I think something we all can hold on to. And so it's a good way for us to begin our prayers, to remind us, Yidi Nefesh, of the goodness that's within every soul, our own souls that we connect with on Shabbat especially.
Yedid nefesh av harachman, av harachman, meshoch avdecha el ritzonecha, el ritzonecha, yarutz avdecha kemo ayal yishtachave el mul hadarecha. Yedid nefesh av harachman, av harachman.
So we begin now formally with our prayers, with our call to worship, with the Baruch Hu, as if we'd like, we can rise together.
Yalla lay lay lay, 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 lay lay lay. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמת.
Our time on Shabbat is again that reminder for the preciousness of life, the beauty that is there that surrounds us really every day. Noticing the things that so often we might take for granted. So let's breathe in deeply. God's gift to each and every one of us, and breathe out slowly, our gift to this world. It's Shabbat, this moment in time when we can take the time to notice, yes, a little more keenly, a little more closely, a little more astutely what really matters most. The gifts that fill our days, even in the midst of the frustrations and challenges. For those of us in Michigan, our past few days have been filled with the bluest of skies and the most radiant of suns, that blue moon that brought light into our dark night, the majesty of nature, the sound of leaves that we all experience crunching under our feet, people outside because there was that fresh air to breathe. Maybe it gave us a chance to encounter one another in ways we might not have had in early November evening or day, because there was a little more warmth, maybe with that warmth a little more goodness, maybe with that goodness a little more kindness, a reality of what we can bring into our world, what blesses us, what we can bless others with. You know, moments like this week are that contrast of not being so sure of what tomorrow brings, but that reality of Judaism saying we never really know what that might be. So therefore, it's not an Epicurean perspective, rather it's to make the most of this moment. And make the most of this moment not just for myself, and not just to feel and notice the blessings, make the most of this moment to be kind to others, to share goodness with others, to recognize all those in our world who we can lift up as well, just as others have lifted us up. That's the blessing as we go to bed each night that we hope for, that maybe that this day we did that a little more. This week we did that. Think back to what we've done this week and how we've connected with another, and how we shared goodness, or how kindness and goodness was shared with us. And now let's hope as we wake tomorrow, we can do more of that as well. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, va'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Let us lie down in peace, God. Permit us to wake up in the security of knowing we are safe and loved. Be a shield around us. Keep enemies, disease, homelessness, hunger, violence far away from those we love. Keep us safe, protected, and give us that perspective to always recognize the blessings that are with us each and every day.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us with wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim.
Part of our perspective, part of that is the reality that we can come together and have our services, have our prayers, have the regular, have the routine, have that chance to make our Shabbat together. To do that which we always do, to find that pattern in it that gives us meaning, that is that way to lift ourselves up to something that is inspirational in our own lives, wherever it takes us. I've said before how difficult prayer is, right? To stay still in those moments of looking at the same words. But maybe it's that routine that lifts us up to that which is most spiritual. So let's give ourselves that moment to reflect a little as we prepare for the Amidah, our central prayers of worship.
יהיו לרצון עם רפי והגיון ליבי לפניך. יהיו לרצון עם רפי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי. לפניך יהיו לרצון עם רפי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי אדוני צורי אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך Eternal God, open up my lips and my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah ve'Elohei Rachel Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Ve'Konei HaKol Ve'Zocher Chastei Avot ve'Imahot ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
And so, in the midst of our prayers, do our thoughts turn to those in need of healing and strength? As we connect with our prayers, we connect with Torah, we connect with one another as a community, so do we lift our prayers up to think of those who are in need, both in physical illness and strength, that we ask God to protect them, to care for them, as well as our responsibility to hear these names and know that we can care for one another. Mishaberach Avotenu Abraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov. Ve'imotenu Sarah Kalei Rachel, Hu Yivrech et Cholim. Merciful God, who has blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. Send your blessings to our loved ones who are stricken with illness and anxiety, friends and family we think of at this time. Illa Sayoto and Eugene Blakeman, Larry Burke, Joel Bussell, Grace Jardine Carafelli, Karen Kasman, Linda Cunningham, Ezra Chaim and Devorah, Daniel Ellman, Gary Fishman, Adele Giba Band, Kathy Gilman, Paul Goldberg, Barbara Goldman, Sylvia Goldman, Sandy Gorish, Batya Babesha Panina, Charles Gross, Sherry Gutter, Hank Heiser, Rebecca Horn, Michael Ingber, Sarah Jacobson, Serafina Coffrin, Alyssa Coltino, Marta Lazar, Henry Leopold, Emily Levin, Nina Livieva, Francisco Leyva, Zoe Marcus, Beth Margolin, Joyce Maza, Tricia McCauley, Len Meiji, Ellie Meisler, Perry Moss, Lori Moss, Scott Miles, Rabbi Robert Nosenchuk, Eric Perez, Leslie Pillings, Tommy Rivers Puzzi, Miriam Lamba, Donalva Esther, Paul Rakosi, Barbie Ryder, Jody Richmond, Alan Rosen, the St. Amand family, Amy Selmanoff, Diane Silverstein, Suzanne Zalesnik Smith, Jerry Starn, Sunday Taylor, Chaim Shmuel Ben Noach, Kocha Ben Noach, Steve Weston, as well as all those battling the coronavirus both at home and in the hospital. The 20,095 American troops who have been injured in Iraq and Afghanistan and surrounding areas to date, and all the names in our hearts. Baruch atah narfel chulim. Bless you, God, to give strength to those in need.
Mi sheberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha liavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with Rafua Shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We join together for our concluding prayers as we begin with the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
There are many ways and many days that we miss one another. And I have to say, as we engage in services, as affirming as it is with your texts and questions and our chats together, we miss physically being together as a community, as a congregation. We miss the engagement, the connections, the questions, the repartee, the fun we have. but also the support we can give each other in times of loss. And I think for those who've had loss in these past 8 months, how much the more so, but even when it's a yard site, that were forced to be in this way of praying on these platforms as a way that still works, but is missing that connection. So I think our responsibility when we hear names and friends and family, we need to pick up the phone and reach out to each other when it's a yard site to say, I'm thinking of you, I'm connecting with you, I'm there standing with you saying Kaddish, even though we're not sitting next to each other in the sanctuary. You know, the prayer, of course, to Kaddish doesn't mention death. It's an affirmation of life, a reminder of the responsibility we have to go on living and to take those who blessed us with values, with stories, with lessons, with life to heart and to hold on to them and to live our life fully in thanks for them too. So as we join together as a congregation, so we think of those who've been taken from our midst in this past week and month whose Shloshimi mark, friends and family of our congregation, Margie Wilner, William Zucker, Molly Sinkoff, Bina Camden, Ruben Stahl, Victor Kislak, Ellen Knight, Ruth Rubenstein, Sheila Kohlenberg, Fanny Zuckerman, and Susan Averbach, as well as 2,420 Americans in our armed forces who have been lost in Iraq, Afghanistan, and the surrounding areas to date, and linking their names with those whose yort sites we mark on the Shabbat, those anniversary of passing we lovingly commemorate: Gladys Baskin, Betty Beer, Erwin Bergman, Mark Burson, Frida Blaustein, Stanley H. Brown, Thelma Brown, Rosetta Cohen, Rabbi Ernst Conrad, Dora Eisenberg, Mayor Eisenberg, Keith Feldman, Joseph Foster, Carol M. Frank, Henry B. Frank, Jack Friedman, Joan Friedman, Milton Garber, Edwin Gittleman, Isidore Goldbaum, Norman Golden, Henry Goldsmith, Fran Goldstein, Ozzie Goodman, Janice Halpern Goodman, Rose Green, Terry Ann Greenberg Watlet, Sally Heavenrich, Stuart Hertzberg, Bella Hortis, Carol Horitz, Patricia Jacobs, Celia Janower, Fanny Carr, Bernard Klisman, Mike Colas, Charles Kominarski, Rose Conoco, Josephine Krause, Sam Leiter, Ethel Lesser, Samuel Levine, Mark Lewis, Bernice Lynn, Nechama Minovich, Rhoda Morrison, Douglas Moss, Daniel Lewis Raskin, Edie Rosen, Milton Rottenberg, Leon Schaefer, Norman Schaefer, Ernie Scher, Jill Schultz, Anna Seidman, Philip Shapiro, Brenda Shep, Jody Jaffe Silverman, Marion Smith, Diane Snyder, Alexander Stark, Saul Stein, Jerome Steinberg, Shelley Sturman, Evelyn Swartz, Alexander Zertis, Janet Thomas, Lucy Topsick, Richard Varon, Harvey Wexler, Helen Weingarten, Polly Willenbaker, Jean Wolfe, Jeanette Urofsky, Eleanor Zimmerman, and linking their names to all the names that we do not recite on this Shabbat, those who perish in the furnaces of hate, and those of every faith, every family whose lives have touched ours. So do we stand together and join as one family, one community, in the immortal words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yikadal, V'yikadash Shemei Rabbah, B'yama Divrach Chirate B'yamich Malchute, B'chayachon Uvyomechon Uchayedecho Beit Yisrael, Bagala Ubizman Kariv Imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mavarach Elamo Mea Maya, Yit Barach V'yishtabach V'yit Pa'ar V'yit Raman V'yit Naseh, V'nadar V'naleh V'nalal, Shmei Dukudasha Barichu, Le'amin Kol Birachata V'shirata, Tush B'chata V'nechamata, Taram B'yama V'imru. Amen. Yehei Shomo Rabbah Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'imru. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'ramav, Huya Aseh Shalom. Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'imru. Amen. The source of peace and peace to those who mourn, comfort to those who are bereaved here and everywhere. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav. יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Cantor. Shabbat Shalom to everyone who's enjoying our services this evening and welcoming Shabbat with us together. So as you prepare your Tish questions, if you want to throw them our way through the YouTube chat, please do so, and we'll see if we can get to a couple of them. But a few things to share with all of you about things that are coming up. Of course, our Shabbat services, our Tish tomorrow at 9:15, our Torah study, our Shabbat morning services will be a calm, casual service at 10:30 in the morning. And then at 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon is our first ever Rabbi Mike, Rabbi Daniel's wine club tasting with Benny in Israel, our sommelier, along with Yonatan, our winemaker. And we'll be trying our Kishore 2016 GSM together. If you don't have the wine, if you haven't ordered the wine, you still can come to the wine tasting on Zoom and shoot me an email and I'll get you that link, or you can sign up on our website actually, and you'll be able to get the link that way too. And so we can be a part of the wine tasting. It's going to be a chance to learn about these boutique vineyards and what's going on in Israel right now as we start this as well. And I know that Audrey just posted the YouTube link for us to grab that if you haven't as of yet. Our Israel classes continue on Thursday with Benny. I don't know where we're going this week. On Monday morning musings. Wow, I've had some really incredible individuals who've been sharing with me last week. Thanks to Steve Mitchell, a pollster, who gave us some great insight as we prepared for Tuesday's election, and some of the things that he predicted seem to come to fruition as well. This Monday, my friend and my guest will be Lee Trepick, the new executive director of Tamarack Camps, and excited for his new position as our other friend Steve Engel is retired and has passed the baton to Lee. And we're excited to hear about some of the plans and managing camp in the midst of a pandemic and what we anticipate for this summer and what he's been working on. So it'll be a special thing. Oh, November 11th is trivia night. Right, thank you. Trivia night is I think our fourth time doing it. Come with a team, come by yourself. We'll get you on a team. Excited for trivia night. It's lots of fun and it's very special. And it's also the night of my 25th wedding anniversary with Leslie. So just wanted to share that. Okay. So the first question I see, are there descriptions in the Torah or any of our ancient texts about what people looked like? Like what did Moses look like as a 120-year-old man? Well, if we go to Mel Brooks, we have good insight into that. I'm sorry, it's 2,000-year-old man. One of the only individuals in the Torah who we learn about how they look, how they appear, is Joseph. We're told at Joseph that he was very attractive and that he dressed very well. That he was fair-skinned and lovely to look at. Interesting, huh? I don't recall, and I'm doing this off the top of my head, so someone might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but any physical... Jacob and Esau are described when they're born. Esau is hairy, red hair, he's a gingy, and rugged, right? And Jacob being more fair. But Abraham, Isaac, we know that Rebecca is seen as beautiful, And that's why Eleazar, Abraham's servant, notices her at the well, also because of her kindness in next week's Torah portion. And Sarah is seen as beautiful, is mentioned that she's beautiful, but Rachel is, I think, what's the best translation? I think a hottie is what the word is in Hebrew. I'm not sure. So maybe not. May have been over the line. So, but she is seen as radiant, and that's why Jacob wants to marry her. And so important. Moses had to wear a veil after seeing God. Well, right, because it says that he was able to see God. He had to turn away because of seeing God face to face. Are there any other good Jewish and Jewish commentaries toward democracy? Well, that we encourage it and believe in it strongly. I mean, there's a lot that we could say in our text of Torah and Jewish law that American law is modeled on, right? And the way a system should be structured and what is good for a society as well, right? But I would also say the idea of the equality of all humanity, no matter where you come from, no matter where you are, no matter what's your ethnicity, what the color of your skin. One of the teachings, the idea that we all come from Adam and Eve, is that recognition that we're all from the same parents, which makes us all not only B'Tselem Elohim, created in the image of God, but all equal, all worthy, all valued, all special. No one is better than another because of where they came from. And that's one of the beauties in our tradition as well. Look, our system of a society was a caste system in the beginning because the elite were the Kohanim, were the priests, very small, like 1-2%. Then the Levites were the ones who cared for them, who were serving the Kohanim, and the rest of us were Israelites, right? And you couldn't change your status. You were born into one of these classes, one of these castes, right? When the temple was destroyed in 586 BCE by the Babylonians, by Nebuchadnezzar, and where the diaspora begins, the rabbinic movement starts. And the question is, how can we live without the temple? How can we, make our animal sacrifices or our wheat sacrifices if we can't do it in the temple? And you can't. So instead of sacrificing animals as a way of prayer or sacrificing, grains as a way of prayer, we sacrificed our heart as a way of prayer. And so the word avodah, the word avodah means both sacrifice and prayer. And they said avodah shebalev, the sacrifice of our heart, are the prayers. And some of them are actually written like in that time period that we still say today, that we have now. So the rabbi's brilliance was the ability to move without the ball and figure out how to make our Judaism work. And so anyone, of course, could then become a rabbi. You weren't born into rabbinic status. And that's, the beautiful story of Hillel, who was not learned, fell in love with this woman named Rachel, but her father-in-law said, you can't be with her, you're not learned, and he leaves and comes back after a number of years as not only a scholar, but with all these students. And then his father-in-law says, well, now you can have her hand. He goes, nope, and he leaves, comes back with like 12,000 students, I think the number is. The idea of anyone can attain greatness through study, through learning, through knowledge, and the importance of that in our tradition. That was a lot. I know. I'm sorry. But it's, always got so much to share. That's why I love when you're here. We're here together and we can keep talking. I was thinking of that as I was driving to Temple this evening, how much I appreciate moments in time in history like this when we're at Temple and there's not a bar mitzvah and we can have these great conversations in the midst of our services. And that's what I was referring to before and how much I miss that. So let's keep having the conversations in our texts and our emails and our phone calls with one another. That is what we got to keep doing because that was what will keep us engaged because we have challenging times ahead, right? We got to take care of ourselves. I heard this before services that U of M canceled all of its winter housing contracts and is sending all the kids home. And they don't want anyone on campus in the university housing. It's hard to gain control of this coronavirus, and we have to be careful. And so we will continue to be very careful at Temple, and we won't be having big gatherings of people. And so we can't do what we love to do. Most importantly, we have to take care of ourselves. That's the priority. But we're going to still stay connected. So access what we're doing. Let's make the most of this. We're thrilled that our chaplaincy course began last night with the first group of 12 with Rabbi Schwartz studying together and beginning to connect even more with our congregation. So with that in mind, we give thanks for the sweetness of our time together, the sweetness of Shabbat, as we join with Cantor.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafim. Amen. Chaim.
L'chaim. Oh, Rabbi Daniel's arrived. Good to see you. Service has only been going on for 55 minutes, Rabbi. We give thanks for being together and the blessings that are ours to share with one another.
Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you. May God protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka.
May God's light shine upon you and shine through you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yisim lecha shalom.
May God always be a part of who we are, all of us as individuals and as a community, giving us all of our hopes, all of our dreams, most of all blessing us with shalom, with peace in our heart, our mind, and let us bring more peace into our world.
V'yisem lecha shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Cantor. Thank you, Audrey, from behind the scenes helping out.